Hello, thank you for joining us today. This webinar is going to be recorded and it will be posted online for reference shortly. My name is Jacqueline Boyer. I work for the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. I am your host for today's webinar, and I am joined by Henry Talmadge, my supervisor and team lead here at the department. On August 20th, 2024, the department issued a Concord grape crop loss determination to help farm wineries impacted by a late April frost freeze event sustain their business operations. The determination allows farm winery owners licensed by the New York State Liquor Authority to temporarily source Concord grapes or juice from outside of New York through December 31st, 2024, while still maintaining their status as a licensed farm winery. Maintaining their status as a licensed farm winery enables them to continue manufacturing or selling wine under their farm winery license, even though they will be producing wine from out-of-state Concord grapes or juice. This 15-minute webinar will walk through the application process for farm wineries to apply for the exemption to use out-of-state Concord grapes or juice. Before we begin, I usually go through some housekeeping items. Your lines are going to be muted. And at the end of the presentation, we will share our contact information. So if you have any questions, you can submit those to us. Let's jump into the agenda. So our agenda today includes the following. We're going to walk through a brief overview of the background and purpose of a crop loss determination. I'm going to provide some information on this year's crop loss determination, which was issued on August 20th, 2024. I'll present a handful of slides on how to apply for the exemption. Just note applications are due October 31st, 2024. We'll talk about what the approval process looks like, and I'll share our contact information if you have any questions or if you'd like to request an application. Background and purpose. So in late April of 2024, there was a frost freeze event that impacted crops in New York State. Agriculture Markets Law, Section 16, and Alcoholic Beverage Control Law, Section 76, allows the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Ag and Markets to issue a crop loss determination when there is a statewide crop loss of 40% or more of a specific variety of grapes grown in New York and used for winemaking. Crop loss of this magnitude impacts farm wineries licensed by the New York State Liquor Authority in a unique way. Farm wineries are required under their license to source 100% of their grapes from New York sources. If a varietal loss over 40% is identified, that variety may receive a determination from the commissioner, certified by the State Liquor Authority, and wineries with a farm winery license may apply to use out-of-state grapes or juice if they are able to demonstrate they were not able to obtain New York grapes or juice for their winemaking purposes. This year's crop loss determination is based on reporting of crop loss based on reporting of crop loss from the Cornell Lake Erie Research and Extension Lab at Cornell Agritech, which found that over 40% of Concord grapes grown or produced for winemaking in New York were destroyed during the 2024 crop year and was caused by the frost freeze event in late April of 2024. Commissioner Ball also toured this affected area after the freeze. A letter or report to the commissioner must specifically indicate any varieties that have experienced a 40% or more loss across the state due to the natural disaster, and should also explain how this was determined or surveyed. Commissioner Ball determined on August 20th, 2024, that a statewide crop loss of Concord grapes for winemaking exceeded 40% due to the weather events in April of 2024. This determination was made in consultation with the New York State Liquor Authority. No other varietals are eligible for out-of-state purchases under this provision. On this slide are a couple of screenshots of the press release that was issued and the determination that was released. So let's go over how to apply. Farm wineries licensed by the New York State Liquor Authority may now file an application with the New York State Department of Ag and Markets to manufacture or sell wine produced from out-of-state grapes or juice. The application deadline is October 31st, 2024. Just a reminder, Concord grapes are the only variety of grapes determined to have experienced a 40% or more crop loss statewide. To be considered to source grapes or juice from out of state, farm wineries must demonstrate they have been unable to obtain the desired varietal in the quantity needed from at least 3 New York State grape growers that grow the impacted variety. Applicants should wait to make any out-of-state purchases until they receive their approval from the Department of Ag and Markets. Out-of-state grape or juice must be purchased by December 31st, 2024. The tonnage and/or juice requested should not exceed the product lost that normally comes from an applicant's vineyard or other New York State grape sources. Please be advised that the department may verify information provided on applications. So here's a screenshot of the application. We will be collecting basic contact information. Applicants will have to indicate the unavailable varietal and quantity on their application, as well as the outreach efforts made to purchase from New York sources, including contact information of the New York source. Include a copy of the inquiry with the application, and it must be verifiable. The evidence provided to demonstrate outreach must be verifiable. We can review other types of inquiries on a case-by-case basis. A phone call alone is insufficient. Applicants will need to demonstrate they contacted 3 unique New York sources. In addition, on the application, applicants will need to attest to the following. Wineries will comply with all federal laws and regulations, including the labeling requirements when making their sourcing decisions. The tonnage and/or juice requested should not exceed the product lost that normally comes from their vineyard or other New York State grown sources. Also, they have to attest that efforts were made to utilize New York grapes or juice first, prior to utilizing out-of-state sources. Applications are due on October 31st, 2024. Applications may be emailed, faxed, or mailed to the following contact information. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the approval process. This slide is a brief overview of the approval process and what applicants will receive back from the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets once their application is approved. No out-of-state purchases should be made until the application is approved by the New York State Department of Ag and Markets. The tonnage and/or juice purchased should not exceed the product lost that normally comes from an applicant's vineyard or other New York State grown sources. The product loss will need to be explicitly communicated on the application. Applications will be reviewed for completeness and for eligibility. I always like to highlight and reemphasize, no out-of-state purchases should be made until the application is approved. Applications will only be approved if diligent efforts are made to source within New York State. These efforts must be verifiable. We recommend conducting outreach in writing, for example, email communications. We will evaluate other methods of outreach on a case-by-case basis. We do not recommend conducting outreach by phone or in-person conversations. Once approved, an application approval letter will be emailed along with the commissioner's authorization form. The applicant's name will be on the authorization form, so these authorization forms will be unique to each applicant. Since applicants will be email notified of their application approval, it is important that applicants provide an email address on their application that is checked regularly. Also, we recommend checking your junk folder in case the email gets sorted into your junk folder. The email notification will come from the farm product dealer license at agriculture.ny.gov email address, which was shown on the previous slide. It will also be on the application material. The deadline to purchase grapes under this determination is December 31st, 2024. Finally, wineries should be mindful of federal labeling requirements when making their sourcing decisions. This is important because our determination allows grapes to be sourced from out of state, but labeling requirements must still be abided by. This concludes our webinar today. Thank you for attending. If you have any questions, please contact the Agriculture Producer Security Program team. And with that, I'm now going to end our webinar. Thank you again for attending and have a great day.